there, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations, and I'm excited today because we are going to play with an element from the new IOD spring release. We are going to use this transfer, which is Lost Garden. It's 8 sheets with all kinds of beautiful blooms. Now, what I did do was I thrifted ages ago this round enamel kind of tray with these beautiful legs. Now, it's not perfect. It's got a couple of little chips, but the beauty of the transfers is I can strategically cover that with the transfer. We need to do a little bit of cleaning, see if some of these marks come off. Again, if they don't, then some of them are coming no problem, then that's where I'll put some transfers. So I'm gonna ultimately get this washed off really well, and I'm gonna take these legs off for now because I do want them to be a different color than just this. So I'm just gonna leave those screws. Now what I do have is I do have this little tiny bit of heirloom, which is a soft blue color from Fusion, that was offloaded. I think I might have added another color in there. It's possible. And so I want to use it up from that little container before its time is done. So I'm gonna get this cleaned and we'll come back to that. But in the meantime, I'm going to get these legs painted. Now, to do this, I'm just looking over here to show, I have some of these long skewers that are sitting over in a container. Ultimately, I'm gonna put these on the skewers to be able to then just sit in a tub to be able to dry. I could stand them up. Maybe I'll stand them up. I end up with things drying all over the desktop and then they're in the way for other things. Okay, I'll manage. So I'm gonna get these painted out in the heirloom. See, it's getting messy. So we just want to, I just want to use it while I can. And, it's going to be a nice, soft, lovely blue color. Look at that. That I think will go well with those little springtime blooms in the transfer. So we're going to get these painted and put off to the side drying. And I'm going to go do a good clean of my enamel top, and then we'll look at applying some of the transfer. I'm not sure, it'll have to be cut to size, and we'll see how that works with the pattern, but I think it's going to be perfect to be able to use it as a tray. Now, when it comes to this transfer, you can see that it is going to be, bigger than my circle. And because my circular tray kind of goes in multiple directions, doesn't go just flat, I'm going to have to do some cutting and some piecing, and really starting to cut around elements so that I can fit them along all of the edges going in toward the center. So I have to kind of pull a sheet that has a lot of dimensions that I like, and then I'm gonna have to cut that baby apart. And I'm kind of looking going, it's very heavy centered along the bottom, kind of like if you were doing a dresser or something flat, and much lighter toward the top. So I am thinking that I may be cutting away some of the top elements of this There's a couple of like plain dimensions at the end, but they're more circular and things. So I'm going to, yeah, see, that's just straight. So I'm going to cut out some elements and get them ready. And then I'll pull you in overhead as we go to apply some of these things. All right, so I'm thinking this flower has to sit over top of my chip here, kind of holding it in place. And so I'll do this part first, and then I'll work around it. Now, what I don't want for this particular tray is to have my design coming up all of the edges, because I am going to want to seal this in here. And just to make it really heavy duty functional more than anything else. So we're going to just simply, and you can see how well this goes on. I mean, the transfers love a slick surface, and an enamel is already a really finished slick surface. So we just need to make sure that we've rubbed everywhere before we remove the transfer. Look at how light and airy this particular transfer is. I love it. So now we just start working some of the other elements in there. I'm just looking at the best place to put this guy. I have some smaller ones, some smaller pieces cut out as well. I just want that's gonna miss that spot. I really want that spot gone. So that's what I'm working on here. How and where to do it. Right, I think I need that little tendril gone. All right. Okay, so we're just kind of, cutting things out so that they fit where we want them. And I think that will work. Okay, carrying on. What I have here is a 2-part A and B epoxy resin that is an overnight cure, right? So this is the slow drying. This is the Let's Resin brand, which I've had great success with, and it dries crystal clear. So I'm just going to add the A and B parts, and then start to mix it up. Now, what I want to do is see how this kind of started to go a bit cloudy. And that's, as I'm mixing the two together, I can see kind of swirls of the two, but we're just gonna keep stirring until it goes nice and clear again. And I'm not gonna worry about, I'm trying not to add air bubbles, but you're gonna get air bubbles. So I will get them out of the project after I've poured it, so that we get a nice crystal clear finish. Now, I get a lot of people that ask, how much? How do you know how much? I just mix up a whack of it, and then whatever's left over, I pour into other molds and other projects on the side. So I've always got something on the go, and I can always use some ready-made molds of items, so I don't sweat that stuff. I just let it go. Okay, so we're nice and clear now. So I am going to bring over my tray, and I want to have this, I'm doing this up here so you guys can see, but I don't leave it to dry here. I have a spot at the back that's fairly level, and that's where I'm gonna leave it to dry out of the way so that nobody's tripping over the project, and that it's gonna dry fairly level. But this is the reason why I did not have my transfer go way up the sides, because I knew that I wanted to add some of the epoxy to this, and I'm going to go around the edges with this little rubber spatula just to be able to get it kind of evenly coating and kind of going out to the edges, but it will smooth out over there, right? So it'll do its own thing, and I'll be able to have all elements of my transfer covered with epoxy, which makes this much more durable. So, you know, hot and cold drinks can go onto it. You can bang it around a little bit without worrying that we're gonna chip off. If you don't like doing resin projects, can you seal this with a clear coat sealer of your choice? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Will it be as durable a finish? No, but it will still be fine. So there's always workarounds, guys, depending upon, you know, what your use and proposed function for the piece is. Some are going to be better than others, but it's also driven by, what have you got, what's accessible to you, what's going to keep it at a price point that makes sense for you. All those things matter and make a difference. So I'm going to continue to futz with this and make sure that I'm getting out to the edges. I can see little air bubbles, which what I will do is just take my heat gun on low so that I'm not causing a lot of rippling, but I will have my heat gun on low to be able to get those little bubbles to pop. And then I do go back to check to make sure that there's no little spots that I'm missing. That sometimes, and don't drag your sweater through your resin. That's going to be a pain. It will just now dry crunchy. Okay, so I'm going to keep just kind of futzing with this, dropping a little bit of resin in here and there where I can see that it's not covered, and that's why I left some of my resin in my cup. Just kind of drop it in, let it level off a bit. And then I'm going to pop my bubbles with my heat gun and set this off to the side to dry. But that ensuring that you're putting it someplace that's level is very important. Otherwise, it will all slowly go to one edge and you'll have a really thick edge and no resin up at another spot. So my center is always going to end up being, because it's a little bit bowed, so my center is always going to be a little bit thicker, which is why you don't see me futzing with that so much as I am with the edges. The last little piece that I want to do is I just want to white wax these little blue legs. We've got that soft white enamel topper for these, so I think that just white waxing them, getting some of that white wax down into those little crevices on the legs will look good. It's just going to soften them. We're just putting the white wax on and then we're just kind of gently wiping it away, but you can see it's staying in those grooves, and that's what we wanted, just to add a little bit more interest on the bottom of these legs. So got 2 more to do. I'm going to reattach them and then we're done. I'll come back and I'll show you. It looks awesome. Here's our finished little tray. I love having that white wax on the bottom to soften those legs. And look at how great this looks. Just putting that resin over top of this just makes it so much more functional and durable. We're not going to have to worry about the transfers coming off. We can put all kinds of cold drinks on it in the summertime. This is such a sweet little transfer as well. And because we strategically positioned some of our florals over the chip, can you even remember? There's our chip right there, which is perfectly smooth. It's now all protected as well. It's hidden by that. We had the one dark mark that we couldn't even get off, which is under here. Can't even tell. Such a great way of being able to put the transfers on something and still create a usable piece. The transfers are definitely all protected. They're not going to be peeling off. They're not going to be wearing off. We've got a functional use for this and such a cute little pedestal. This was a find. When I was thrifting, I paid, after my discount, I got it 30% off on Senior's Day. So yay me for being old. But when I found it, I knew that it was going to look super sweet with some of the new release items on it, which are just very light and floral and springy. So this just came out. So, you know, go check out the new IOD release if you're loving this one. But I think it's perfect, where it's just nice and light. We cut apart some of the transfer to be able to just get that kind of nice spacing and that white space. We see lots of the enamel tray. I'm loving this, but you know, it's the transfer that made it. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. Cool thrifted find. There's all kinds of stuff in the thrift stores. If you just look for them, grab them when you can, and put them aside, waiting for the special project. This was the transfer for this one. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one, as always. And until then, take care.